What's going on, guys? Welcome into Clutch People. I hope you guys are having an amazing day or night. Today, I'm bringing you guys my 2020 NBA Mock Draft Part 2. If you want a Part 3 with MH and Avery, who are big-time Knicks fans, let me know down below in the comments section. And no further ado, there's not really much else to talk about. It's just a 2020 NBA Mock Draft, who I think will be slotted, who I think realistically will go to that NBA team, 1 through 14. No further ado, let's get right into the video. So with the first pick in the 2020 NBA Draft, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves selecting Anthony Edwards from Georgia. No question about it, he has this bulldog mentality, he has a good handle, and there's one thing this kid does not lack, and that is confidence. He's not afraid of the big moment. His efficiency is definitely a big-time question mark, only shooting 40% from the field, not even 30% from three. I believe he's shooting 29%, not even 80% from the charity stripe. He's really good at initiating contact, picking his spots for sure, and the Timberwolves, I think this is the right fit and the value match here in the draft. I don't think LaMelo Ball would be a good fit alongside D'Angelo Russell because he really struggles on the defense side of the basketball and he doesn't show much effort on that side of the ball. LaMelo Ball is a reliable defender when he does show effort, but Anthony Edwards is going to bring this bulldog mentality and bring a great culture, and he's going to show effort. He does have these lapses on the defense side of the basketball, and this is a very interesting draft. There's going to be some solid starters, there's going to be some good role players, and most likely, I've said this in the past, if there is a steal, it's going to be outside the lottery. It's crazy. Anthony Edwards, who I have going first overall, is shooting 40% from the field. That's the best player in the draft. Even though he does have the highest of potential, or has one of the highest potentials, him and LaMelo Ball, don't be surprised if a guy like Devin Vassell and Sadiq Bey, or maybe a Tyrell Terry, ends up having a better NBA career than them because they're coming into the NBA with an identity. With the second pick in the 2020 NBA Draft, I have the Golden State Warriors selecting Deni Avdija from Maccabi. This dude is very experienced. He's played up against NBA competition in practice and even overseas. On his team, he had Amari Stoudemire, of course, a former member of the Miami Heat, the New York Knicks, and of course, the Phoenix Suns days with Steve Nash. He's now a member of the Brooklyn Nets coaching staff. He also competed up against Elijah Bryant. Elijah Bryant played at BYU. Great shooter, played for the Bucks Summer League team, Tyler Dorsey, Quincy Acey, and even more. But he's definitely a plug-and-play guy, and the Warriors, they can afford to pick Deni Avdija here. If it was the Knicks with the second pick, they would get clowned because they need that big-time player that it's the obvious pick. You either take a LaMelo Ball or you take a James Wiseman, best player available, and they'll be like, why are you going for fit here? When Deni Avdija is a plug-and-play guy because the Warriors are a win-now-mode team with Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson. Deni Avdija is very fundamental. He makes the right basketball play. His jump shot's definitely the big question when it comes to his overall game and his arsenal, but he rarely gets baited into anything on the defense side of the basketball. He's a good passer of the ball. He's aggressive. He's gained some weight. And I just think he'd be a great fit for the Golden State Warriors. And if they don't trade down, same thing with the Timberwolves. I have the Timberwolves selecting Anthony Edwards, and I have the Warriors selecting Deni Avdija from Maccabi, who I'm a big fan of. With the third pick in the 2020 NBA Draft, I have the Charlotte Hornets selecting LaMelo Ball. I don't care about what the interviews say when it comes to LaMelo Ball, at least when it comes to the Hornets, because LaMelo Ball's talent is too amazing just to pass on him here, especially Michael Jordan, unless Michael Jordan's like, yeah, LeVar's annoying, we have this whole beef, it's not really a beef, but I'm not picking your son. But no, I do not think his stock's going to drop that much. I'm not a big fan of LaMelo. What he's doing with the interviews, I would just cancel the interviews like James Wiseman's doing. Like just coming out and saying that, no, I'm not interviewing with the Timberwolves. You guys have Karl Anthony Towns. It makes no sense. Like at the end of the day, these guys are going to be professionals and you have to treat these interviews like professionals. You either cancel them or you act like a true professional and a grown man in the interview and don't slack off. And that's what I've heard LaMelo Ball's been doing in interviews. But the Hornets, of course, they have Devontae Graham. They have P.J. Washington and Miles Bridges. I really like their young core. But I love how Devontae Graham has improved. But can you imagine LaMelo Ball in transition, who's a great passer of the basketball with Miles Bridges? But LaMelo Ball has so many holes. If it's turning the ball over, his erratic shot selection, shooting so early in the shot clock, he just does not have the greatest of game when it comes to defensively. But when he shows effort, he's fine. But I do think he's better than Lonzo Ball. When it comes to creating his own shot, he's more shifty. He needs less screens for sure. He has the ability to shoot from the outside. The mechanics are really iffy. And like I said, the efficiency or the efficiency is just really bad when it comes to LaMelo Ball. And he's definitely a guy that's going to be taken for his high potential. And the Hornets here maybe get their point guard of the future and build a culture of PJ Washington and Miles Bridges moving forward. But don't be surprised if they take James Wiseman here. Fourth overall, I have the Chicago Bulls selecting Isaac Okoro from Auburn. Take a look at the Chicago Bulls' young core of Kobe White, Lauri Markkanen, Wendell Carter Jr., Zach LaVine. That's pretty much what they're looking at. They don't play a lick of defense. Zach LaVine's not the greatest defender. Lauri Markkanen's not. Wendell Carter Jr. is not consistently healthy whatsoever. And we know Kobe White does not play defense. And we don't even know if this new GM is going to be absolutely in love with any of these prospects. But I would go best player available. And I do believe that's Isaac Okoro. He's a freak athlete. He's definitely going to enter the NBA, known as a very good on-ball defender. And he may be the best player in this draft when it comes to defense. When I watch the tape, his shot is not broken whatsoever. He is reliable of hitting open threes, not like he has terrible shot selection. He's definitely going to be a spot-up guy for the Chicago Bulls, especially if they hold on to Zach LaVine. They don't need someone else creating their own shot. They need these spot-up shooters that could play defense and take pressure off of these other guys. And Isaac Okoro definitely has one of the highest upsides in this draft. They just have to hope he's not Stanley Johnson and he can shoot the ball, but being that good athletically, has an NBA-ready body just like Anthony Edwards, has a high motor, and he does not take a play off. With the 5th pick in the draft, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers selecting Obi Toppin from Dayton. First off, I want to give credit to Obi Toppin. He absolutely turned around that program. In my opinion, they would have been so much fun to watch in the tournament if this whole COVID thing didn't happen. Obi Toppin, we know, is a great athlete. He's kind of overrated from 3 in my opinion because he did not attempt many, but he did end up improving when it came to his confidence actually attempting 3s from downtown. He's not the greatest on the defense side of the basketball, does need to do a better job positioning himself, and he has such a long wingspan, and he's tall enough to be averaging over more than 7 rebounds. I think he definitely does need to get better in that department, but if you take a look at the Cleveland Cavaliers, they are literally doomed. They have no direction. They have Darius Garland and Colin Sexton. That may be a good offensive duo for the future, but that defense is absolutely terrible. You still have Kevin Love, and they're looking forward to bringing Andre Drummond back. If they deal Kevin Love, they'll have the replacement here on a cheaper contract of Obi Toppin. They're just in a really interesting position as a basketball team, and I have no idea what their direction is. With the 6th pick, I have the Atlanta Hawks selecting Tyrese Halliburton, the point guard from Iowa State. Of course, they have their star guard of Trae Young, and you guys are probably wondering why Tyrese Halliburton. He's a point guard as well. The reason why is because Tyrese Halliburton plays really good defense, and there's no good defensive player, really, at least on a consistent basis with the Atlanta Hawks. We've not seen Clint Capella play a game yet. Kevin Huerter's not a great defender, but at least you have DeAndre Ayton and Clint Capella for the future, and that defense would be even better. And then you get a spot-up shooter of Tyrese Halliburton, because the big knock has definitely been Tyrese Halliburton can't perform off the dribble, but that's okay if you deal him to the Atlanta Hawks. He's going to take pressure off of Trae Young on the defense side of the basketball, and he's good at spotting up and moving without the ball. He's not a crazy good athlete, but he makes up for that with having a very high basketball IQ. With the 7th pick in the draft, I have the Detroit Pistons selecting James Wiseman. First off, I want to say this is not a point guard-driven draft, at least a very good point guard-driven draft after LaMelo Ball. Maybe you can go Killian Hayes here, but they're probably like, this guy fell in our lap. Why not take the best player available? Christian Wood may leave in free agency, so why not go with James Wiseman? The best player out of high school, he was being called the unicorn. At the end of the day, he was draining threes in high school, but so was Mitchell Robinson. The three-point line really changes when it comes to from beyond the arc. It does have the 3rd longest three-point line in the world, or actually might be the 4th, because the EuroLeague three-point line is the 2nd behind the NBA. It may be the WNBA, and then it may be the college three-point line. But yeah, if you take a look at James Wiseman, he plays with a very high motor. He has an NBA-ready body. He has a long wingspan. I think he does need to do a better job positioning himself on the defense side of the basketball, but that's in a very small sample size. No question about it, he could score the rock with ease. And if you're the Pistons here, I wouldn't take Killian Hayes because you have James Wiseman, who some people think is the best player in the draft, and some people may say that they're not high on him. But at the end of the day, it's not a reach at 7. That's an absolute steal. Just look at that need and value if Christian Wood leaves. And even if Christian Wood stays, you can move James Wiseman to the 5 and have Christian Wood at the 4 and even Suku. And then wait till the upcoming draft and take a point guard. Yes, you don't know what draft position you're going to be in. But when you have this talented of a player of James Wiseman, why not take him? A guy that could just reject shots off the backboard. He's a great athlete. He's good in mid-range territory. He's just a freakishly good basketball player. With the 8th pick in the draft, I have the New York Knicks selecting Killian Hayes. See, I'm not a huge fan of Killian Hayes, but when he's available at 8, I think the Knicks would draft him. Killian Hayes is definitely this crafty point guard from France. You would like to see him get better with his right hand, but he definitely has nice moves in his arsenal. He has great dexterity when it comes to finishing at the basket. He has a nice step back. He has a nice Euro step. He's also a good playmaker. This kid's absolutely a prodigy when it comes to his age and seeing things on the floor. He's also a good defensive player, and the Knicks get their point guard of the future, hopefully. With the ninth pick in the draft, the Washington Wizards select Devin Vassell. Devin Vassell is definitely that safe prospect from Florida State. Some people are iffy on his jump shot because of that video surfacing. Hopefully that's not his jump shot, but he plays with a high motor, high intensity. He's a good athlete. He can spot up from beyond the arc, and he's actually solid off the dribble as well. And the Wizards really struggle on the defense side of the basketball, and I really do believe they're going to roll with John Wall for the future, or at least try to, and see what he has in store. With the 10th pick in the draft, I have the Phoenix Suns selecting Tyrell Terry from Stanford. Tyrell Terry has limitless range, he has a good handle, it's absolutely on a string, and he has great dexterity around the basket, using the backboard for his protection. He's definitely a great teammate that is kind of a liability on the defense side of the basketball due to his size. But he did gain 15 pounds of muscle, which could definitely help him initiate contact at the rim. But the Suns are looking for that point guard of the future, and they've interviewed Tyrell Terry a couple times now, and they always have that interesting pick. With the 11th pick in the draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Patrick Williams. Patrick Williams is definitely a plug-and-play guy. He doesn't have high numbers at Florida State, but you can't take a look at Devin Vassell and Patrick Williams and say they're trash based off their points per game. They really play in a team-oriented offense that does not really consist of giving the ball to one guy and going to work in ISO situations. Patrick Williams is a really good athlete with a long wingspan, and he's definitely a big-time competitor on the defense side of the basketball. He has a nice mid-range shot in his arsenal that will hit a double for the San Antonio Spurs and really be a part of their future. At worst, he's going to be a very solid role player off the bench, but he's a guy that's safe with a high upside at the same time, but he's a good defensive player like I said. Maybe he needs to get better at creating his own shot, but if he can create a shot from downtown, that'll be absolutely deadly. But you have one of the greatest coaching staffs in the NBA, and he's going to a great position. With the 12th pick in the draft, I have the Sacramento Kings selecting Aaron Naismith. Aaron Naismith played with a very small sample size at Vanderbilt. Of course, his season did end due to an injury. Of course, it might lose Buddy Hield. He might go to a team like the Philadelphia 76ers that need desperate shooting. And why not replace him with a cheaper contract of Aaron Naismith that shoots over 50% from beyond the arc? There's going to be tons of pressure on him entering the NBA, though, because they know the scouting report's going to be like he's going to shoot from downtown, but he's also a solid defensive player as well. He's not speedy quick, but he knows how to get to the basket and use his strength. With the 13th pick in the draft, I have the New Orleans Pelicans selecting Sadiq Bey from Villanova. The Pelicans desperately need spacing. Of course, they have J.J. Redick, but besides that, they don't have anything special. Especially when you have Lonzo Ball, Zion Williamson, Derek Favors. You don't really have anyone that's crazy good at spacing the floor, at least on a consistent basis, and I think it would be the right pick. He brings some defense and shooting. There's nothing wrong with that in today's NBA. 3-and-D is definitely the recipe of success in today's NBA. With the 14th pick, I have the Boston Celtics taking Precious Achiuwa. This one's pretty simple. He's a really good defensive player who's a really good athlete. He's not that great from downtown, but he's not afraid to take him. And you saw how far they went with Daniel Tice, and it's really going to be scary what they're able to do when they get a premier center of Precious Achiuwa. He definitely got overlooked because he played for Memphis, and so did James Wiseman, even though he played a bigger sample size because of the whole suspension. But at the end of the day, Enes Kanter's not your center of the future. He does not play a lick of defense. Daniel Tice does those little things, but I do not think he's their future. If you ended up enjoying this video, be free to give me a thumbs up and click that subscribe button for more content. And as always, guys, have a humble day or night. Peace out, y'all.